Now we are on very strange page 3, where we're going to look at a difference, meaning subtraction, of cubes, meaning third powers. So let's read it starting over here. If you've got something to the third power, take away something to the third power, it factors like, oh my gosh, look at all that. Break it down nice and slow. We got to figure out what's to the third power here, what's to the third power here, and then the pattern says whatever those things are that are being raised to the third power, you just put minus the 2 there. And then this 3-term parentheses, you put the squares of those things to the outside, and in the middle, there's no 2 here like on the page we just finished. You just put the one thing times the other. So you get used to it. The mistakes very often come because of all these signs. How do you remember what signs to put? I'm going to show you. We're going to use a trick called SOAP. Now, I see this is because, and this works for the sum of cubes also, which we'll do in a little while. So here's, take a deep breath, get some more coffee. Get a water, whatever you need. Put the little parentheses and the big parentheses. We're going to put the signs in first using SOAP. So this stands for same, opposite, and always positive. So to begin with, the same means you use the same sign as in the exercise. Then the O for opposite, that means your next sign is always opposite whatever the first sign was. And the AP stands for always positive. The last sign is always positive, whether it's a difference of cubes or if it's a sum of cubes. It's always positive. So, what's this the cube of? This is the cube of x. X to the third power is x. X to the third power is x to the third power. And is this the third power of something? Yes, the number 2. 2 to the third. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So we've identified what is playing the role of A and B. We put those two things there. Here and here we put the squares, x squared, 2 squared. And in the middle, we just put the one thing times the other. You can write x2, but that looks silly. Write 2x. It's the grown-up thing to do. Okay, so that's the factorization for that. This will not factor any further, trust me. Is this a difference of cubes? Yes, this is the cube of x, and this is the cube of 3. And it's got a minus in the middle. So I'll put my little parentheses and then my big parentheses. And let's get the signs in using SOAP, S-O-A-P. S for same sign. Then O for opposite. We put negative, so now we put positive. And the AP for always positive. So what do we plop in here and here? The two things that are being cubed, the x and the 3. What do we put in here and here? The squares of those two things. X squared and 3 squared is 9. And the middle term is just 3 times x. Okay? Let's slide down here. And this is 8 squared, but it's also 4 to the third power. 4 times 4 times 4 will give you 64. And of course, this is x to the third power. And since it's subtraction, the order in the subtraction parentheses does matter. So watch the order. Putting in the signs first, S in SOAP for same sign, O for opposite. Opposite would be positive, and AP for always positive. Very good. Now what goes here and here? The 4 and the x. 4 before the x, 4 take away x because it was 64, take away x cubed. And here we put the square of 4, and here we put the square of x, and in the middle we put 4 times x. And if you're wondering, could I change the order here to make it look more normal, x squared 4x 16? Yes, you can. There's no need to, but if that bothers you looking like that, you can certainly change that because it's all addition, and addition is, what's the word? Commutative. Subtraction is not commutative. You cannot change the order of this one. That'll give you the opposite value. We don't want that. We want the actual value. This is 5 times 5 times 5, and of course that's x times x times x. So 5x to the third power does make exactly that, and this is 3y to the third power. It's getting a little more involved now. But that the A in the recipe up at the top of the paper, the A is 5x and the B is the 3y. And it's still difference of cubes. So I start with the same sign, S for same sign, O for opposite sign, and AP for always positive. Well, what goes here and here? The 5x and the 3y. And then be careful here. You're going to square 5x, which means 5x times 5x, that's 25x squared. People very often forget about squaring the 5. And then that's going to be 9y squared. And in the middle, 5x times 3y, 5 times 3 times x times y makes a 15xy for the middle term. And that's the end of that. Okay. And the sum of, if you could handle that, sum of cubes, it's the same term, you know, a squared, b squared. The difference is the signs, but if you remember this little SOAP gimmick, this acronym, it'll get you through the sign placement correctly. So this is a sum of cubes. That's the cube of x, and that's the cube of 1. So here's my little parentheses. There's the big parentheses. S in SOAP for same sign. And then opposite, so the opposite of plus is minus, and the last sign is always positive. And see, it's up here too. So what goes here and here? The x and the 1. The square of x is x squared. The square of 1 is still 1. 1 times 1 is still 1. And in the middle, 1 times x, we can write 1x, or we could just write x. It looks more professional that way. Okay? Take a deep breath. Is this the cube of something? Sure, that's the cube of x. That's the cube of 5. I see plus in the middle, so I'm using the sum of cubes factoring pattern. Same sign, opposite sign, always positive sign. What goes here and here? The x and the 5. And then the square of x and the square of 5. And for the middle, 5 times that. See, and if you put the signs in first, you don't have to worry about that minus, that plus. I don't, just put the signs in first. No trouble. And this is the third power of 2. This is the third power of 5x. It's got plus in the middle. So I'm going to write my 2 sets of parentheses. Same sign, opposite sign, always positive sign. So 2 and 5x go there and there. And 2 squared is 4. 5x squared is 25x squared. And the middle term, 2 times 5x, makes 10x in the middle. I wrote that a little crowded, but you can still read it. 2 plus 5x, 4 minus 10x plus 25x squared. And last one for today. This is 3x times 3x times 3x. And this is 4y times 4y times 4y. And it's got plus in the middle. So, same sign, opposite sign, always positive sign. Same, S-O-A-P, same, opposite, always positive. And here we get the 3x and the 4y. And here we get the squares of those things in that order. 3x squared is 9x squared. 4y times 4y would be 16y to the second power. And multiply them together, you get a 12xy. So, there it is, all finished. Okay, and that's it for today. Thank you.